People need to have things to celebrate, otherwise we realise that we are oppressed and are unable to express ourselves freely because we're at the behest of all these corporate entities. So, yeah, have a party to distract us from the fact that we're being tyrannised. Why not? We need dissenters to make us question our constitution.
Yeah.
If you get rid of all the dissenters and all the people that make good jokes and that, then you get fascism. But with that... You're going to like this Messiah complex, Sway, because guess what I'm talking about? I'm talking about 4... anti-hero, subcultural icons. Gandhi.
Okay.
Malcolm X.
Okay.
Che Guevara. Jesus Christ. Why they're all great heroes, the way people use those images, things that are true about them that are a little bit flawed and unusual and surprising, and why we need heroes like that in our culture when we are awash in a sea of meaningless tripe.
Like the Celebrity Wire? What are you talking
Like celebrity stuff, like when you sort of, we spend all our time thinking about celebrity stuff, especially you and me, we're in this game, aren't we? You sort of talk about that stuff, you think, oh, what's the value of it? What's the meaning of it? We've like come from a culture that had genuine heroes, people that are prepared to die for what they believe in. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Why is it so many people crave celebrity now? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I have.
And what's your answer?
Because we're presented with the attractive spectacle of fame to distract us from the mundanity of our everyday lives. It's bread and circuses, Jeremy.
Because in that case, it's utterly empty.
Of course.
In itself, it is not something worth striving for.
It has absolutely no value of itself. It's a spectacle, an illusion, a distraction. I think all of us are aware of that.
I sometimes think it might be something to do with religion and the decline of religion.
Well, so that we now have a pantheon of celebrities where once...
People think, you know, it's about significance. Famous people appear to have significance,
yes.
And previously it was religion that gave people that sense they had a significance.
Of course, but people are, and I think that significance can shift.
Yeah.
Diana was at different points in her trajectory of fame presented as the virgin, presented as the whore, presented as a martyr. So where relevant, fame can transmogrify and alter to represent what's culturally necessary at that time to suit the narrative. People enjoy narratives, and I suppose that's why politics has become inundated with these narrative ideas. Oh, this brother begats that brother, Cain versus Abel, it's David versus Ed, because people no longer want to grapple with the death of the grand ideas. No one cares about religion anymore, no one cares about communism anymore, because we've been fed this grey sludge of celebrity, glittered up and packaged and lacquered and sent directly into our brains via the media that both you and I work for in different degrees.
You know what happens if you work in media? People like to change the information so that it suits a particular agenda. If you're in a room with people, then what you're saying is clear. If you say something that people are confused about, you can explain it to them then. If you say something as a joke, people can't pretend that you're saying it seriously. So I like having direct communication with people, because I believe people are very, very intelligent, but the information gets manipulated a lot, and people like to cause, like, you know, fake stirs and stuff.
You are very focused on the spiritual side of your life, it seems to me, on meditation, on the yoga that you do. How much of your time is taken up with these kind of pursuits? Loads.
It's an half time-consuming. If you start getting into meditation and yoga, it will devour your day quite easily. How do you know when you're finished? If you're trying to think of nothing and blend with the infinite divinity that encompasses all things, all phenomena, it's difficult to go, oh, enough of that. Yeah. Put the telly back on.
You carry it with you?
It's there with you.
Okay.
There's a limitless consciousness accessible to us all. We can get it through techniques. I used to try and get it through the old Persian rugs, drugs. But that way you can receive a headache or a criminal record.
What about yoga?
Well, what that's all about, John, is, as you know, that consciousness is an amorphous and expanding entity. I think that we allow our consciousness to be prohibited by our senses, prescribed by our senses, living in the realm of these 5 apertures into our reality. But reality is limitless, space is infinite, time eternal. Through yoga, one can temporarily break the bonds that chain us to the mundane, the mondial, that which is of the earth, and we can temporarily at least receive a taste of the infinite. This
has been a key to your recovery. You sound like a sort of new age prophet.
So you're saying that the idea that things are separate and distinct from each other on a material level is illusory? Is that what you're saying?
Illusion. That's correct.
It's a sensory illusion.
That's correct. But you can go beyond the senses. And that's what meditation traditionally is. Properly understood, it is a technique to pull the awareness from the outwardly directed senses powerfully within, to experience deeper levels of mind, simpler, quieter, more unified levels of the thinking process, and then slipping beyond thought, that's where the transcendental comes in, beyond thought altogether to experience this universal unity at the basis of mind and matter.
So we can access neurologically in our own minds the unifying field of creativity from which all energy and matter has come, perhaps even the cosmos and universe itself. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, and it's not just philosophically interesting, but it's really practically important, because that meditative state is considered to be a fourth state of consciousness, that means not waking, dreaming, sleeping, in which the entire brain, as we've heard, is engaged. And that orderly, coherent style of functioning of the brain develops the full potential of human life. So, truth be told, meditation, transcendental meditation, comes from the ancient wisdom of yoga, and it's designed, it's engineered to develop the full potential of the brain. And as a side benefit, stress-related illness melts away.
John, do you reckon if through meditation we can achieve access to a fuller state of consciousness, it may help us to bring about a global revolution where we've found a society based on spiritual principles rather than material and economic ones?
It's the only way, because...
Yes, I thought there'd be a revolution tonight. I'm right in the mood.
A society based on utilizing 5% of the innate potential of the brain is going to be more or less like the society we have.
Yeah, idiots. We're like monkeys. We're just like stupid monkeys.
Why does your yoga instructor travel with you?
It's not far. I'm in LA. I only live down the road. If I was in Peru or something, I wouldn't take her. Just went, do you want to come to this thing? It's Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, I watched that. That would be great.
Oh, so you guys are friends and you hang around together?
Yeah, it's not like all sort of Hollywood and like I'm in a candlelit room and I go, oh, it's just like, I like her. She's a nice person.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like spiritual people, sometimes they're a priest, sometimes they're a yoga teacher, sometimes it's just some bloke you chat to who always seems to get to the heart of the matter, the holy within a matter. It's good to hang around with them type of people, because otherwise you spend your whole life thinking about materialistic, meaningless things that can never, ever, ever make you happy.
I've been spending a lot of time with that David Lynch, you know, the film director. Through transcendental meditation, he says we can access a unifying field of energy from which all creativity comes, be it physical, atomical, or intellectual. Perhaps if we were all in tune with more beautiful things, perhaps we wouldn't prioritise such peculiar ideas and notions. And perhaps if we can popularise through the techniques of branding and consumerism a different idea, a different narrative, perhaps the world can change. After all, it changes constantly and incessantly. It's just that the perceptions that we have are governed by people with self-interest that are not in alignment with the health and safety of us as individuals or as a planet.
Blimey.
Russell Brand, house owning, renting, prices up, you know the score.
Well, what I think is that if we continue to organise a society around protecting the privileges of people that are already rich, not prosecuting bankers, allowing people to cleverly avoid taxes, then, yeah, ordinary people are going to be penalised and aren't going to be able to fulfil the dream that Thatcher so beautifully presented us of owning our own council houses. So, unless there are significant changes over where we get our revenue from, and I might suggest people that have got loads and loads of money, people that are in the top tax bracket, yeah, like me, mate. I should pay a bit more tax. I'm happy to pay tax because, listen...
I'm sure the government would accept a voluntary contribution.
If I was going to give money to people, I tell you what... If I was going to voluntarily hand over my money, it would not be to the Tory government, man, because I don't trust them people. I don't trust any of them, because they exist solely to protect the interests of the rich and powerful. They're not there for you. You know that in your hearts. So me, yeah, get used to a lifetime of renting unless you want to do something serious about it.
And when you cast your eye across public life, who's most in need of yoga?
I think we all need to be having daily spiritual experiences. I suppose that you want to start with people in power because they're setting agendas and they're imposing ideas.
So if you ran the country, you'd have the cabinet out on their mats?
There would be mandatory meditation, necessary elevation, yoga daily. But it's not like some sort of Orwellian imposition. It'll be access to the infinite. Like, and no one should do anything they're not happy with. I spoke to Terry Gilliam once, you know him out of Monty Python. That person seems to have it flowing through him anyway. Or like say, you know, some people seem to be all right as they are. They're not hurting themselves, they're not hurting other people. I'm sort of, whether it's, you know, the give it up thing or yoga or meditation, I'm only addressing people who are dissatisfied and unhappy, and given the state of the world, it seems like that's a substantial number. I'm just saying there is a solution. If you don't want to drink and take drugs, you don't have to. If you want to have
say to those who said the solution is God? That's spiritual, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. It depends how they mean that word. As long as it's not some doctrinaire cosh bashing enlightenment out of people, as long as it's access to love. You know, when they analyse the semantics consistently through mythology and theology of words like love, God, they find that the common theme, John, is union, that we just want to be connected to something higher. That can be another person, that could be God, that could be a relationship with nature, it could even be a relationship with West Ham United. I think the important thing is to have this, the central tenet of your being, love, compassion and tolerance. Everyone knows that.
Just putting up on that, when you just said a moment ago you do believe in God, what does that mean in the absence of any religious dogma or sectarianism?
I think that there's an infinite creative force that generates all consciousness and all matter, and we are all connected. And if you align yourself with this infinite creative force, then you can be positive and you can be beautiful. I don't think it's a personal God. I don't believe in any particular doctrine or dogma, only that humanity is connected. And if you listen to the lower, of course we are all selfish and we all want to fuck each other, but if you allow that to govern your life, you will not be connected with the things that are important and true.
Do you think that you can continue at this level?
I hope not, because I'm utterly bored of it. I want to ascend. I don't want to be here for much longer. I mean, not towards you. You're lovely and fantastic, and it's a thrill to talk to you, but I don't want to dwell here with such trivial things for very much longer.
You mean you seek death? No, you don't.
Not death, but between now and death, it would be ever so nice, I think, if I were able to achieve something that was truly valuable, some evocation of beauty, togetherness, the exposure of the illusion of separation, and some connection between people. Perhaps use this energy for something better than
something more worthwhile.
Messages. One would hope. That's my deepest wish.
Do you have any intimation of what it might be?
Yes. We're making this documentary currently on the subject of fame and consumerism and the way that we're sold these ideas and these narratives and the way they keep us dumb and the way that I myself was seduced by it growing up in Essex and thought, oh yes, I want to be famous, and now I am famous, and what does it mean? Ashes in my mouth. So I want to communicate this idea to people that are aspiring to it, culturally specifically wanting to become famous, but also similarly through the purchase of endless brands, the purchase of different ideas. Kerry Katona at Iceland. You know, I sort of momentarily thought when I thought of, Kerry Katona, it doesn't matter how much negative publicity she attracts, Iceland will still use her because of the familiarity. It's still appealing, it's still attractive. And I'm above that culturally because, you know, I'm above Heat magazine. I've read a few books. But, like, you know, if there's two aftershaves on a shelf and one of them's got Robert Downey Jr.'s face on it, that might be an appealing aspect to me. So I would like to somehow expose in myself and explore within myself and culturally the possibility of us aspiring to greater things. Many have said, haven't they, Jeremy, that the fact that we desire these products, that we have these aspirations is an indication that we can still change, that we can still strive, that we have within us a yearning for something higher. Someone told me once that all desire is the desire to be at one with God in substitute form. So perhaps we can draw attention not to the shadow on the wall, but to the source of light itself.
Check this out for an idea. Joseph Campbell said, talked about the myth of Christ, and he said that the reason the story of Christ is important is the temptation in the 40 days in the wilderness. He's offered Christ material success, he offers him political power, and he says, if you are so spiritual, he says to Christ, who swerves the first two tests, why don't you kill yourself now and be only spirit? And Christ says, we are body and we are spirit, and that's why he remains alive. Oriental and Eastern thinkers say that what is the relevance of the resurrection of a man 2,000 years ago? What does it matter if someone was resurrected 2,000 years ago if we are not resurrected now, in the moment? And I recognise this from an atheistic perspective, which is not my perspective, I happen to believe in God. But if you are an atheist, I think we are at the summit of our evolution. We're 38% identical to bananas, DNA-wise. We're 67% identical to earthworms, DNA-wise. 98% identical to chimpanzees, DNA-wise. So what we share together is infinitely greater than what separates us. To be at the summit of our evolutionary possibility, we have to live beyond the dead model of our animal selves, of our urgent primal selves. We have to be at the apex of evolution. We have to be in the moment. We can't live in the dead animal self of urges and acquisitiveness. These are the things we have to transcend moment to moment. This is what I think is important, to live in the apex. See, like these old ideas about individualism, we've got to transcend them. The distinctions between you and I, we know that they are an illusion. We share the same DNA. There are invisible energies that are passing between us, the same way as this used to have Wi-Fi before some idiot tipped water on it. These invisible energies have to be harnessed and accessed because it's the only truth that matters. As long as we prioritise this material truth over spiritual truths, we will live in tyranny because we are living in an illusion.